25 years I lived here, and everything was beautiful, flowers. We grew all our food.
Margie Woodrum needs a cane to find the home where she raised her children. Her eyesight is now failing.
Where am I at now?
But even when she finds the front door, she knows she can never go inside again.
Because the poison, the doctor ordered me out of here and not to take nothing and never go back in that house.
Well, lots went on in 30 years here, hadn't it? Yeah. A lot of rodeos.
A few miles away in Salisaw, Linda Maxwell and Bob Eskew can only sit on the front porch of their farm home. They had to buy a trailer to live in because their house is being completely gutted. They believe something in the air was making Bob sick.
He'd say, I feel so bad. He says, Linda, I feel like I'm dying.
All three say their lives were turned upside down because they bought propane.
The last 5 years, I've not done nothing besides go to doctors and hospitals and eat pills.
In late 2005, Linda, Bob, and Margie say they bought propane to operate their heaters and stoves from Stevenson's LP Gas Company in Salisaw. Soon after, they started noticing problems.
We had the runny eyes, we had the burning nose, the burning eyes, we had blisters. Bob had blisters in his mouth and I had sores in my mouth.
Bob thought he had the flu, and then
I just woke up one morning and couldn't see.
He says doctors would eventually tell him he had lost most of his vision and 40% of his lung capacity.
Lucky to get up and walk to the car to go somewhere now.
The nurses all pitched in and bought that for me.
Margie is now living in an apartment, using a magnifying lamp to read and taking breathing treatments 4 times a day. She says the propane she bought also caused vision loss and lung problems.
It started to be where I couldn't breathe. Just couldn't get no air, no matter what you did.
The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency eventually investigated after several customers complained of similar problems. Their report says nearly 10,000 gallons of contaminated propane was delivered to Stevenson's LP Gas in 2005, which came from Coffeyville Resources Refinery in Coffeyville, Kansas. These pictures are from their website. The EPA says when the propane was combusted, an unknown amount of residual fluorine gas was released into the air.
Well, it's something that you would want to avoid at all costs.
Stephen Prilliman is an assistant professor of chemistry at Oklahoma City University. He says fluorine is part of the chemical hydrogen fluoride, or HF, which is used by refineries to make propane. How dangerous is it? Well, Stephen says when dissolved with water, it can cause serious damage to a person's central nervous system.
I would assume that when you breathe it in, that you could, that it would mix with the water in your lungs and could probably do the same sort of thing in a high enough concentration.
Margie's lawsuit against the retailer and refinery says there were manufacturing irregularities that occurred at Coffeyville's refinery. The attorney for all three would not speak on camera, but told us HF gas should have been removed from the propane before leaving the refinery, but it was not. Coffeyville's parent company, CVR Energy, declined to comment.
And I mean, all we asked was for them to come and fix the house. So yeah, it's frustrating. I cry, and I still do, because it's sad.
So who makes sure propane sold in Oklahoma is safe? The Oklahoma Corporation Commission inspects gasoline, but doesn't have the authority to inspect propane. And the Department of Environmental Quality, EPA, Oklahoma LP Gas Administration, and the Oklahoma LP Gas Research, Marketing, and Safety Commission all say they don't regulate propane. They all declined an interview for our story. However, the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission tells us they enforce propane industry standards and will look into the allegations. Stevenson's LP Gas says they're a victim too. Their attorney tells us they filed a lawsuit against the refinery for loss of income and damage to their reputation.
Just having trouble breathing?
Hello.
I thought you were.
More than 5 years later, the lawsuits for Linda, Bob, and Margie are still pending. Church friends are now restoring Bob and Linda's home. Nurses are now helping Margie get around. They all say they're in declining health and never thought that tank in the yard would be to blame.
So you're just living on a day-to-day basis is all you're living on.
And how do you deal with that emotionally?
Pray. I pray.